And finally, going to finish things up with the Final Four review. Obviously, at least on the men's side, we're going to work backwards, or I'm going to work backwards through this one. Obviously, the national championship was a fantastic, all basketball, all the games this weekend were fantastic. Every team that was leading at half in these 3 games, they all lost. So you can tell kind of the back and forth nature of this one. But we're going to work backwards. National championship, Florida wins their 3rd title in school history, first under Todd Golden. They win 65-63. They come back against Houston. They were down by, I believe, as much as 12 in the second half, early in the second half, but a fantastic effort. Because look, when you're down 12, that's one thing. But when you're down 12 to Houston, that's a very big ask. They go out, they get the job done. I think the biggest topic that is going to be talked about is obviously the final play. Houston unable to get a shot up for a chance to either win or tie the game. I think they had like 13 or 14 seconds. Obviously, a very unfortunate situation. Houston goes up, take the shot, and double pumps and is coming down and realizes, if I don't drop this ball, it's going to be a travel and a turnover. So he just kind of drops the ball and is helplessly looking for any one of his teammates to come pick the ball up as we tick down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then a scrum for the ball. The game is over and Florida wins the national championship. Personally, I don't have any problem with the play call. I think they got the ball into the right guy's hands. It was just fantastic defense. The screens seemed a little, they were obviously running him off of screens, and the timing of it, at least the back screen, or the last screen, I should say, I think that kind of threw everyone off besides the defender. And a fantastic defensive performance in that final possession, and really throughout this entire game. 65-63 in a season where we saw, Alabama beat BYU 113-88. So it was kind of going back to the basics here with these two teams. The other storyline that kind of did jump out to me was the inconsistency of the reffing, or at least the officiating, I guess I should say. I think it was 4 or 6 total fouls called in the first half. I think there were 28 or 30 called in the second half. Look, I've said it multiple times through all sports. You need to be consistent. If you're going to be bad for both teams. If you're going to be an MLB umpire and you're given 2 inches off the plate, give 2 inches off the plate to everyone. If you're going to call ticky-tack fouls, call ticky-tack fouls from the start of the game to the end of the game, because it's very unfortunate for Houston and Florida to play a very physical game in the first half and go, wow, they're really letting us play. And then the final 20 minutes of your half, or of your season, they are very much not letting you play. But Todd Golden, that was a very well-timed technical. And I do think the play of the game was that block from Hawk. And then I don't think it was Elijah Martin who put it in, but that kind of 5-point swing, if you will. I think that got Florida to within 4 and really got the crowd in that place back into it, because playing in San Antonio, a very pro-Houston crowd. Kudos to Houston, though. I wanted Houston to win this game for Kelvin Sampson's sake. He has 799 career wins. Would have been very poetic and fantastic for him to get his 800th win while also getting his first national championship. Unfortunately, look, it didn't happen. And Florida and Todd Golden, they get the job done. But again, Houston, I think, was the better team. They held Walter Clayton Jr. scoreless for the first half, which I didn't think was possible, even knowing how good Houston truly was. Absolutely gutty performance from Florida to win this, and from Houston to battle, not just in this one, but a game we'll get to momentarily as we do work our way backwards back to the semifinals. The first semifinal this past Saturday was Florida taking down Auburn, and as I mentioned, all of these games essentially had halftime comebacks. Auburn dominated Florida for majority of the game. But last 5 minutes, it was I don't want to say a choke job, but I also haven't gone back and rewatched the final 5 minutes. It wasn't ideal. And I think the only reason I don't think it was that dramatic is because of the Heimlich maneuver that was failed in the Duke Houston game that I'll talk about momentarily. But yeah, Auburn felt like they were in control pretty much the entire game. They essentially were able to kind of do whatever they wanted in the first half offensively. Florida and Todd Golden made their adjustments. They got the job done and they take down Auburn. They, of course, would go to the national title, win it all, but they win 79-73. Bruce Pearl, fantastic run with Auburn. I thought it was really cool. Obviously, Charles Barkley, an Auburn alumnus. He's part of the TBS crew, which, I mean, for a guy who probably watches like 8 basketball games, college basketball games, before he gets put onto March Madness talk, like, and I love Chuck, don't get me wrong, I love Charles Barkley. He's absolutely hilarious, but he's more of a comic or a clown rather than, I mean, put him next to Seth Davis. That's just not fair to anyone. Seth Davis probably watches more college basketball nightly than Charles does before the tournament starts. So that was a little tough. But anyways, Charles Barkley kind of greeting all the Auburn players as they, obviously were heartbroken, shaking their hands, telling them to keep their heads up. He was very proud of Bruce Pearl and the guys. And really, again, like, you lost to Florida, the eventual national champs. Obviously, you want that one back, and there were some mistakes made. But you can't really beat yourself up too much over it. Fantastic season for Auburn. I think probably one of the more impressive regular seasons, maybe minus the last 4 games. But I mean, there was a stretch where they had won like 4 or 5 straight games against top 10 teams at the time. It's pretty incredible and just a little short against the eventual national champs. And the nightcap on Saturday, wow. I think I could sit down and watch this game again, and at the same moment of whatever 10:30, I would shake my head and go, surely I misremembered this. Surely there's no way Duke loses this game, but Duke loses to Houston 70-67. The big story here, obviously, is the final 10 minutes for Duke. They score 1 field goal the entire 10 minutes. Houston down 12 or 14, whatever it was at that time. They end up coming back and essentially sinking some free throws to clinch it. We had a very unfortunate miss by Proctor, I believe, on the front end of the 1-and-1. And then it was compounded by a Cooper Flagg over the back call. Look, I know there's a lot of people kind of belly aching about the officiating in that game and really overall. Look, I get it. I think of it very similarly to the James Bradbury call from 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. And yes, this is your daily reminder, weekly reminder here on the podcast that the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. But 2 years ago, of course, that didn't happen. They lost in the Super Bowl. And the game kind of swung on a James Bradbury holding call on 3rd down that essentially gave the game to Kansas City. The call was correct. It was holding. The question was maybe the best timing, in the interest of wanting drama and things like that. But look, officials aren't supposed to make that call. I have no problem if they do, but I don't begrudge them. A foul, a penalty on 1st and 10, the first play of the game versus the most pivotal game, or most pivotal play of the game, it needs to be officiated the same. And Cooper Flagg went over the back. Maybe it would have been better if they didn't call it and we could see what happens and play it out. Okay, great. But the big thing is, and everybody wants to jump on Cooper Flagg for not having a great final 10 minutes, but he was the only one that, was actually doing anything. It was a bad performance. And for Duke to fold like that, I think it really does show the difference in a young, very talented. I'm probably the most talented team in the country was Duke. I have no problem saying that. However, that talent is very young, very raw, and I think the lights got very bright, and I think they started about 10 minutes, started to go, wow, we're going to the national championship. You cannot do that, especially against a veteran team like Houston. I think Houston and Kelvin Sampson, huge kudos. That team never quit. I think probably any team in the country would have quit in that moment, except for Houston, and it worked out for them. Personally, I had 3 separate futures that I set out. I think I set one in January for Duke. I set one in February, and then I set one at the start of the tournament. I think it was 3 $25 bets, so 75 total for, I think, a total payout of close to $400. Nothing crazy odds-wise, but I think the shortest odds I got were 2.5 to 1, and that was my when the tournament started number. So that was a bummer for me because I, at 10 minutes, was kind of counting my money because I had just watched Florida struggle with Auburn, and I'm watching Duke absolutely dog walk Houston for the first 30 minutes of this game. I'm thinking, all right, betting account, we're going to have everything for Breeders' Cup and horse racing for the summer is all going to be fueled and bankrolled by Duke, and they didn't get the job done. John Scheyer got to use this as a learning experience, learning opportunity. Cooper Flagg, same. There are a lot of learning opportunities for the Duke Blue Devils, but I think this was the biggest kind of difference in maturity. And it really did show at, probably for Duke, the worst possible time.